Hello, everybody, and we're on to our second Valentine's movie flick that I have checked out today. Excuse me, I have found this on Tubi, and if you haven't watched any of my other reviews, excuse me, my hair's tickling my face. Tubi is a free app that you can get that has so many wonderful B movies on there. It has other movies on there as well, but if you like the B movies, you like horror movies, Tubi is a very good app to get. It does have ads, but if you're looking for a free app that has a lot of B movies, of a big selection of all sorts of different movies, like I said, it does have ads. I know you can get it on Roku. Other than that, I couldn't tell you because I have Roku. So I know you can get it for your phone and tablet too. The app. I've never used it on that, so I don't know how well that works. Excuse me. But for sure, you can get it on Roku and it works just fine. But I watched Valentine Dayz, and Dayz with a Z. That was a really messed up looking Z. It is a 2018 movie. It has 2.2 out of 10 stars on IMDb. The synopsis on what Tubi says: after a zombie apocalypse breaks out, a virus kills one of two lovers in an all-consuming romance and leaves the survivor forced into his old life. Can't read this. Definitely is a B movie. And there's a reporter character in here that in the beginning reminds me of how, Joe Bob talks about the Shakespeare in the Park people. He almost fits the bill, but then he kind of changes later on in the movie. It's not for a bad change either, but when you first get introduced to the reporter, sorry, I have a stray hair that I cannot find, but it keeps tickling my face. But when you first get introduced to him, it completely reminded me of what Joe Bob talks about with the Shakespeare in the Park. If you know Joe Bob and you know what I'm talking about, you'll get it if you watch this movie and you first get introduced to this reporter. It also cuts. It does kind of, I would say, jump around, but not really in a bad way like some movies do. It jumps around to different areas and shows you how the virus is spreading in different areas and what's happening to different people in different areas. I don't really think it jumps in a bad way like some movies jump around. You get kind of lost and uninterested. When this jumps, you just see zombies attacking people in other areas, which I think they did that very well. They have the reporter that I was just talking about interview this guy. His name is Professor Z, and he is an expert on zombies. Could there be a better name for a professor that is an expert in zombies? I don't think there could be much better of a name for that than Professor Z. I thought that was funny. There was a random ventriloquist dummy that is controlled by one of the characters, and the dummy appears again later on in the movie. It's not really relevant in any other way except some guy just playing with a ventriloquist dummy. They kind of give some of the backstory a little bit on the main character, but because this guy is just talking to the dummy. But other than that, I don't really know what the relevance of the ventriloquist dummy was. And there is a phone wedding proposal. I'm like, what the heck? It's like this woman's really excited and thrilled that you get a marriage proposal over the phone. I don't think there's very many women that would like that kind of proposal. I don't think I would. There's definitely other references to other movies. Now, I didn't catch all of them, or some of them I knew, but I couldn't place the movie. But there's one that reminded me of Clint Eastwood. There's the dude from Big Lebowski reference. At least that's the way I took it. Because the guy refers to himself as the dude. So I kind of took that as a Big Lebowski. And there's this other guy that is in a flower shop that does the reference from Wizard of Oz in it. And it really doesn't make sense to the conversation. The flower shop character is actually quite funny. The music in this, I really like the music in this. It's, I don't know how to really describe it, but I like the music in this. The main character, probably about maybe midway during the movie or so, I don't know where he gets these goggles from, but they're awesome. They're like these motorcycle glasses, which he does not ride a motorcycle, so why he's like riding around in a car and whatnot with these goggles on, I have no idea why he's wearing them, but they kind of make him look like a badass. And I really do like these goggles, and they're kind of like bedazzled all the way around, and you got to see these goggles. There is a really funny crazy lady in this movie, and it's like, as soon as you see her, you know she's out there. She is completely nuts. There's some decent practical effects. I like the crazy lady so much, I had to make sure I put her in the notes. I put it that way. Go back to there's decent practical effects in this. There is one scene, though, that might be disturbing to some people. It does kind of involve a baby. It's not a real baby. I'll put it that way. It is not a real baby, but it was almost a little too much for me. But it's not a long scene. And maybe just look away for a couple minutes or something when you see it coming. Just look away for a couple minutes and it'll be gone and it's over with. I wouldn't just not see this movie just because of the scene. But I do want to put a warning out there because some people, I know I had a loss of a child, so it might be, but knowing it's not a real baby, it might not be as bad to some people, but it was a little disturbing. But like I said, it's not a real baby, and it doesn't last very long. It's not like, I want to say it's one of the Feast movies where they, like, baby punt. I want to say it's the third one, but I'm not for sure. But that one's a little bit more graphic. This one lasts for maybe a minute or two. It's kind of quick. And it is a little disturbing, so just be forewarned. I should have time-stamped it, but you'll kind of... there's a couple standing in the road, and they're looking off to the sky, and the hero will be driving, I think it's a black van, coming up behind him, and you'll see the woman, like, holding a baby. When you see that coming up, look away for a couple minutes if you don't think he can handle it. Like I said, it's not a real baby. You might not be disturbed, but it was a little much for me. But it was over quick, and it's not focused upon. I just wanted to add that to there just because I know that stuff like that can be disturbing to others. There is a cutscene at the end of the credits. It's not very big, or not the end of the credits. It's like the credits play for a little bit, and then there's a cutscene. So don't shut it off as soon as the credits get going. There is a cutscene. All in all, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. It does have a little bit of a comedy aspect. I like the practical effects. I like the music. The zombies are not really typical zombies. They're a little bit different, and they kind of take a little bit from other movies. I mean, they're semi-intelligent, not really a whole lot of... They look for people they knew in their other life, which they don't just randomly attack people, which in the movie, it kind of seemed like they're randomly attacking people, but that's how they explained it in there. Um, there's, if you hear weird noises, my dog is snoring in the background. I don't know if the mic is picking it up or not. But if you hear a weird kind of wheezing sound, it's my dog snoring. I'm boring the dog. That's how bad I am. I am boring the dog. I'm gonna get distracted. But all in all, I really like this movie. It does have kind of a love story. It does kind of call to warm bodies. If you know the story of Warm Bodies, you'll kind of know what I mean by the end of the movie. I don't really want to give away too much. It doesn't really show what I'm talking about, but they do talk about what I'm referring to. And I don't really want to get into it too much, because if you know Warm Bodies, you see this movie, you'll know the link I'm getting to. But yeah, it seems like they take from other movies and put in there. So it's not just one subgenre of zombies. They kind of like take a little bit from other zombie stories and bring this to you, which I kind of like that. It is, I would say, pretty much original, as some of the storyline does kind of remind me of Warm Bodies. But it's not completely 100% focused on that. But yeah, let's say if kind of flashes around, you see different where it's happening in different areas. There's this reporter that the same reporter I've talked about before comes on and kind of gives you updates of what's going on. But the flashbacks are not flashbacks, but the flashing around is not really that distracting, I'd say, and it kind of pertains to the movie. There is one thing, though, that I didn't understand in the movie, because it doesn't really explain it. The main character has a fear of... Oh, I just now got it. The main character has a fear of water. You'll understand the water thing. It took me a minute, but I got it. I just shut it off. I started filming because I want to try to get another movie in before everybody comes home. But yeah, there's it doesn't really say what happened, but every time he sees water, you hear like people screaming and stuff. So it doesn't really say the tragedy that he experienced with water. But if it did, I might have walked away for a second or whatever, but I might have missed it. But it doesn't really explain, I say, fully, like I said, unless I missed it, what the relevance of him being afraid of water. And it did actually take me a little bit after the movie. It's like, what's the relevance to the water? And then at the end, it kind of does explain that, not what happened to him, but what the relevance of the water is. Because it didn't even click into me till I started talking about it. So actually, think about it for a second. If you're a little slow like I am, think about it for a little second, and then you'll get it. Because I don't want to give it away, because it will give away something in the movie. There is one character that something happens to, and you find out that character ends up turning into a zombie. And it's at the end of the movie, you get introduced to the character, maybe about halfway through the movie or so, and he's kind of funny, and you're like, I like this character, and he comes in a couple different parts, and then he ends up turning into a zombie and coming up to the main character at the very end of the movie. You're like, oh, not that guy. But at least I did. I was like, oh, not that guy. But I don't want to say who it was, because I don't want to ruin it for people. I've tried to have this as spoiler-free as I possibly can get. But like I said, the only reason I even brought up the scene with the baby, because I know it might be disturbing to some people. Like I said, it's not a real baby, and it doesn't last for very long, and I wouldn't uh, just not watch this movie because you know it's in there. Now, if it was more focused, like I said, one of the Feast movies, I don't believe it's the first one. I want to say it's the third one, where somebody like punts a baby. I think it's that one. It might be a different movie because I think Cronkneys versus Zombies does something like that too. But one of the Feast movies and Cronkneys versus Zombies, I think it is, has something to do that's a little bit more focused on the baby than this one. This one's is over quick and then it's done with. It's not focused upon anymore. I just want to give a warning that it might be slightly disturbing to some people because it did kind of like make me want to turn away for a little bit. I'm like, oh, even though I knew it wasn't a real baby, I was just like, oh, it just kind of. But I just want to have that warning out there, just so you know, it might be disturbing to you, and it might not be. Knowing it's not a real baby, knowing that it's not focused on there, you might be able to be okay with it and be done with it. But it did kind of, and I watch a lot of horror movies, I watch a lot of B movies. Pretty much almost every movie I watch is a horror movie, so it kind of does take a lot to disturb me, and that one just kind of threw me off, and I was just like, eh. But it doesn't last long, and it's not focused upon throughout the movie. It's just that one little part's overdone. Just look away, but this movie is very enjoyable. I would definitely suggest watching this, adding this to your Valentine playlist or your marathon, that if you have a marathon planned for tonight, definitely check it out. It is free on Tubi. I'm giving it 7 out of 10 stars. I really enjoyed this movie. Go check it out.